we all experience those few days or few weeks or maybe even few months where we can't really put our finger on why this is happening, but we just don't really feel like ourselves. We don't feel good, we don't feel like ourselves, and we can't identify why we're feeling this way. And I think when we experience this, our first instinct is to look for some complicated solution. We think we need this massive breakthrough in order to get our life back on track, or we feel like we need some like crazy 20-step productivity system in order to get our life back on track. And we think that that thing is going to fix everything. And I've definitely done that. I've definitely experienced that. But whenever I look back at periods where I genuinely felt my best, I felt like myself, I felt really good, like clear-headed, I was energized, I was the most present I've ever been, the most connected with myself. It was never because I had some perfect routine or some perfect system. I wasn't leaning on anything really complicated at all. I was just consistently doing a handful of really basic things. I was on top of the few things that I know make me feel good and make me feel more connected to myself, make me feel like myself. So in this recording, this isn't a guide to optimize your life perfectly. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not some productivity expert. I'm really not. I'm just sharing a few things that I've noticed help me feel like myself again. And if one person gets some value from listening to this, then I feel like I'm doing my job. None of the things I'm going to mention in this recording are revolutionary. They're just the most simple, bare bones, basic things that I feel like help me get my life back in order. And I feel like if we can all start prioritizing these things and making these things more of a habit, then I feel like it's impossible to not feel like you are on your way or back on track to feeling like yourself again, to feeling good again. Now, if you followed my content for a while, you already know I talk a ton about presence and meditation. I still, of course, think those practices are incredibly powerful. Learning how to sit still with yourself, observe your thoughts, and spend more time in the present moment, like living presently throughout the course of your day, has probably changed my life more than anything else. But I talk about that all the time. Chances are you've probably heard me make, so much content around this kind of stuff. You can go back and listen to different recordings where I talk about, my specific meditation practice and meditation misconceptions and just how to live more presently. I have so many recordings on that. So I urge you to go and listen to those if that is what you're after. In this recording right now, I don't want to make this video sound like another meditation video or how to be more present video. Obviously, again, I think that's so important, and it's definitely something that I think you should prioritize if you're looking to feel more like yourself and connect more deeply with yourself. Meditate consistently, check in with yourself, take some deep breaths throughout the course of your day, and just connect back with your body. Obviously, these things will change your life, but because I've spoken about that a lot, I don't want this video again to become another one of those videos, because I would definitely go completely down that path because I'm so in love with this topic. So instead, I just want to focus on some other things that support that foundation. Because, I've noticed something really interesting. Even when I have a solid meditation practice and I'm meditating consistently, I've done it for weeks on end, and I really feel like I'm living more presently. If I'm sleeping bad, if I'm having terrible sleeps, if I'm barely moving my body, if I'm not going to the gym, if I'm not getting my steps in, if I'm eating like garbage, if I'm spending all day indoors, if I'm scrolling for hours throughout the day and I'm scrolling for hours before I go to bed, I don't feel great. If I stop leaning on what makes me feel good consistently, it's going to spiral, and I'm not going to have a good few days. I'm not going to have a good few weeks, and then it can just get worse and worse from there. And that's not what we want to happen. We want to consistently feel like ourselves. We want to consistently feel good. We want to feel grounded and centered and just on top of things. So of course, presence matters, but so do the other basics. So the first thing that I want to cover is sleep. Sleep is absolutely foundational. I may put a few screenshots of my sleep score here just to, prove that I know what I'm talking about, or that I do at least, make this a priority. Obviously, this isn't like the full story, but I do believe it's like a solid indicator of the fact that like these things that I do help me get better sleep. So, I can say wholeheartedly that, when my sleep starts slipping, pretty much almost everything else starts slipping as well. My mood gets worse, my patience is worse, my energy is worse, my motivation is worse. And the funny thing is, I know exactly what helps. I know I sleep better when, I get outside first thing in the morning and I get some sunlight in my eyes. I know I sleep better when I go to bed around the same time every night. I know I sleep better when I read before bed instead of scrolling. And yet, like most people, I still don't always do those things. I still do things that I know impact my sleep in a negative way. Like I'll scroll for an extra 20 or 30 minutes and then I wonder why I don't feel amazing the next day. For me, good sleep usually isn't about finding some like magic sleeping hack or anything like that. Like I'm not trying to optimize anything really. Like it's just about, creating conditions that make sleep easier. Making sure that I'm off screens at least 30 minutes before bed. Putting the phone away, which is tough, but learning how to replace that time you'd spend scrolling with reading, even if it's for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Taking a magnesium glycinate has been really helpful for me. Actually giving myself space to wind down instead of trying to squeeze every last drop out of the day. I'm not going to get like super scientifical here. I know it sets your circadian rhythm, but like I'm not going to go into that. But I just know that the days in which I do get outside and get morning sunlight into my eyes are typically the days in which that night I feel more tired and like ready to wind down and get ready for bed. And I tend to have better sleep when I do that as well. This is really, really boring advice, but it works. The basics aren't exciting, but they are typically the things that I think just work the best. The next thing I want to cover is movement. I think movement is one of the most underrated mood boosters available to us. Not because it turns you into some like fitness machine or anything like that. Like that's not what I'm talking about here. It's just because your body was designed to move. And whenever I stop moving consistently, I feel it. My energy drops, my mood drops. I feel more stuck in my head. It's like the energy hasn't moved. If you're overthinking and you haven't moved, I promise you, if you go for a walk or you go for a run or you start lifting some weights, like that energy, that built up mental clutter and energy that you have in your head will be able to like disperse in other areas and actually properly get released. Every time I start walking more, I'm making sure I am getting my steps in, getting outside more, lifting consistently. I feel better every single time. Even when I don't want to go for that walk, even when I don't want to go to the gym and lift weights, I tell myself it is worth it because I feel so much better 10 times out of 10. It is like guaranteed I feel better when I do these things. And, within a week or so or 2 weeks, I promise you, like, you will start feeling like yourself again if you do this consistently. You may go to the gym once or go for that run once or start walking consistently. It's not going to change like your life overnight, of course not. But if you do it consistently and it becomes a part of what you actually do, you're not going to feel like you're high one day and then low the next day. Like your mood steadies out. You have like this grounded, centered feeling more consistently. Something that was really annoying and like bothered me a lot was that, I'd be really high one day and feel really good about my life and just like things would be clicking one day, and then the next day my mood would completely shift and I would, I'd feel like shit and I just like want to rot in bed all day, and then the next day would be back to feeling high again, and I would hate that like constant mood swing. Like it just wouldn't I wouldn't have this sense of stability and I wouldn't be able to sustain any positive feeling. And it was only when I was able to commit to my habits and like commit to getting outside more, making sure I'm getting my steps in, lifting consistently, actually lifting heavy weight consistently. That is when I felt better consistently, when I actually had that sustained high feeling, that sustained good feeling, that sustained feeling like I felt like myself, connected to myself again. I really hope I'm not overcomplicating this. If you can get, 5,000 steps in, if you can get 8,000 steps in, if you can get 10,000 steps in, and you do that every day, or you try your best to do that every day, you will feel better. If that's playing a sport, if that's just going for a walk with a friend, going for a walk by yourself, maybe you'd love running, try running. If that's lifting weight more consistently, like find out what works for you, find out what gives you more joy, and just stick to that. And I promise you, if you incorporate more movement into your day-to-day life, like you will feel better, you will feel like yourself again. It has 100% done that for me. Some of the healthiest people I know and happiest people I know and fittest people I know simply move their bodies every day, and they make it a priority to move their body every single day. They are active, they're outside, they're engaged with life, and that consistently compounds. Speaking of being outside, like this is just me thinking about this right now, I think sunlight deserves its own mention. I genuinely think many of us spend way too much time indoors, working indoors, studying indoors, scrolling indoors, watching shows indoors, living life under artificial light like all day, and that shit can drain you like nothing else can. You'll never feel more disconnected from yourself than when you're spending 24/7 indoors under that artificial light. Some of the clearest thinking happens on walks. Like some of the best ideas I get happen when I'm unplugged from my phone, not listening to anything in my ears. I don't have my headphones with me. I'm just out for a walk and I'm just looking up at the sky. I'm just observing nature, taking in what's around me, actually being present on my walks without consuming anything. Like, just try it. Get off the phone, get off the screen, start moving your body, and just exist. It's amazing how much better you can feel after a 15 or 20-minute walk outside. Again, this really is not complicated. I'm not talking about anything crazy complex here. This is just basic. It's just a basic human need. Now, another topic here that I think is so important to talk about is nutrition and hydration. I'm not going to talk about how you need to follow some, extreme diet. That's not what I want to talk about. That's not how I approach this. I've just noticed that when I'm consistently eating whole foods and I make whole foods a priority, when I'm making sure I'm getting enough protein, when I'm making sure I'm eating my fruits and my veggies, when I'm drinking enough water, which is like I'm underlining and highlighting drinking enough water here, that is when I feel my best. That is when I feel better. My energy is more stable throughout the course of my day. I think more clearly. My workouts are better. My mood is better. It's not complicated. Most of us already know what eating healthy looks like. We don't need another podcast or some Instagram carousel talking about how, vegetables are good for us. We know, we get it. Like, the challenge here isn't the information. It's actually being consistent. And hydration, like I said, I've underlined and highlighted that because that is a huge one. Sometimes when I feel off or tired or just like sluggish, like the answer isn't another coffee. It's just water. Making sure I am drinking enough water. I understand that sounds like ridiculously simple. It's the simple things that matter. And I'm repeating that because you need to like tattoo that on your brain, I think. The simple things matter. The basic things go a really long way. You do not need to overcomplicate any of this. Focus on the simple things. Sometimes what I do when I'm like really, really sweaty or I've just had like a really intense workout is I'll sprinkle a little sea salt in my water to get some electrolytes, or you can order electrolytes on like Amazon or something like that. I think that really helps with hydration as well. For me, I try drinking around like 2.5 to 3 liters of water a day. I find that I'm operating at my best when I'm consuming that much water. If you're moving throughout the course of your day, if you're exercising, if you're going to the gym, if you're getting your steps in, like this probably won't be a problem. Like you're going to want to drink, you're going to be thirsty. The last thing that I want to talk about, and again, super simple, really basic, but really, really important, make time for things that you genuinely enjoy. Not things that are necessarily like productive or things that help you become more productive. Not things that make you more money, not things that look good online, not things that you're doing to achieve a specific outcome through doing them, just things that you enjoy. I think we've become so obsessed with outcomes that we've forgotten how to do things simply because they're fun and because we love to do them and because we enjoy doing them. Maybe that's reading for you. Maybe that's drawing. Maybe that's photography. Maybe that's writing. Maybe that's playing a specific sport. Maybe that's just being curious and learning something new. Maybe that's cooking. Maybe that's playing an instrument. Literally, whatever it is, I think everyone needs something in their life that they do purely for the enjoyment of it. No audience in mind here, no pressure, no expectation, just pure enjoyment. Some of the happiest moments have come from things that had absolutely no productive purpose whatsoever. Like when I actually think about, my own life, like it was when I was just, picking up a basketball just to shoot around and have fun, or I had an idea to cook something and I just wanted to cook it. And maybe it tasted like absolute shit, but it was the act of doing it that brought the enjoyment, and that was worth it. I think that's healthy right there. That's human and it matters. As a little bonus here, something that I just thought about that I also think is really important is connection. Because whenever I start feeling disconnected from myself, I've usually become disconnected from other people as well. I spend too much time in my own head, too much time online, and not enough time having actual conversations with people I love and people I care about. I'm not spending enough time laughing. I'm not spending enough time being around people that I know care about me, my buddies, my friends, my family, whatever it is. Like sometimes the answer isn't in another self-development book or in another podcast. Like go out into the world, laugh with people you love, laugh with people you care about, call up a friend, go grab a coffee with someone, you care about, have a dinner with your family, set up, some sort of community thing that you can go to and be around other people. Like in the day and age that we live in, it's very easy to feel like isolated. This is a reminder to myself, for sure, but it's just like, get out there, talk to other people, be around other people, go up to a stranger and compliment them. Like this is the type of things that I think really add some juice to life. And sometimes we forget about it because we're focused on ourselves. We're focused on bettering ourselves. We need connection. When I step back and I actually look at everything we've spoken about today, again, it's become so apparent to me that absolutely nothing I'm talking about here is groundbreaking. Sleep, movement, sunlight, nutrition, hydration, presence we spoke about at the beginning, connection, doing things you actually love and enjoy. They're not flashy, they're not revolutionary, and maybe that's why people overlook them, because they're almost too simple. But I know that like whenever I drift away from these things or I stop making these things a priority, I notice it. My body notices it. That's when I start to take a step back and like feel like I'm not connecting with myself, or I'm not myself. I feel a little bit off. I don't feel that good. Whenever I come back to them, I start feeling like myself again. I start connecting with myself again. I start to feel like I got my juice back. I feel good. I feel great. I may not necessarily feel perfect. I'm not like endlessly happy. It's not like I don't have bad days. I just feel better. I feel more grounded. I feel more present, more alive, more on top of things. So if you've been feeling a little bit off lately, maybe don't immediately search for the next hack or the next big optimization productivity thing that you think is going to help you. Like, maybe don't assume you need to completely reinvent your life or like fix yourself. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you just got to come back to the basics. Maybe you just have to start sleeping a little bit more and prioritizing your sleep. Maybe you just have to walk a little bit more and get a little bit more steps in. Maybe you have to drink a little bit more water. Maybe you have to spend a little bit less time scrolling. I know that's probably something that we can all relate to. Maybe you just got to pick up the phone and call a friend. Maybe you have to go outside and touch some grass. Maybe you have to start incorporating more time into your week where you actually start doing something that you love and enjoy just for the sake of it, because you just love it. The basic things aren't flashy, they aren't sexy, but in my experience, they work. They work 10 times out of 10. And it may not work right away. You may not feel better right away, but if you stack them up and you actually make them a priority and are consistent with them, that's when you'll notice that they make really the biggest difference. And, sometimes feeling good again is less about adding something new to your life, and it's more about returning to what you already know works. That's like really important. And something that, again, I have to continuously remind myself. I'm not perfect with any of this. I'm still figuring this out. I just know that by focusing on the basics and returning to what I know works, which are the basics, I feel a lot better and I just feel more connected to myself. So thank you for listening. I hope you got some value from listening to this. Let me know if you did. And yeah, I appreciate you, sending you good energy and love. And I'll see you in the next recording very soon.